How'd it go this week?
She got better and better.
Yeah, I feel like she's picking it up pretty quickly.
Good.
I haven't used it tonight, even though I've gone. I haven't used it, just for walking from the car.
Yeah, she, walks like from the park home. She's been able to do it with hardly any corrections needed until once the home gate is in sight. Then when she's keenly aware where she is.
Yep.
But I feel like every day it got a little easier. She's definitely got no problem with us putting it on, taking it off.
Good. What's her number been, roughly?
Usually 10, 11, 12-ish normally. And then if there's other dogs around, I've gone as high as 25, 30.
Okay, sure.
I've gone a little bit higher just because, I don't know, I've noticed that 10 and 11, she's still kind of she'll
drift a bit?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I've been going 16 to 25-ish. And then when we're at the dog park, I was walking with her last night and I was at 35 and she was really distracted.
Gotcha.
She gets really excited.
I think we're still also trying, we're still figuring out how to get the collar on tight enough.
Sure,
too,
where it's fitted correctly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because from what I can see here,
it might be a little loose right now.
I need to turn head so you can see. That actually looks pretty snug. So, we'll see how we do with the contact today. Plus, she's got that thicker coat, so that always inhibits the contact as well.
Yeah.
They do make probes for thicker coated dogs, and there's some that are it's wings that make really good contact. The only problem is you lose power, so you're kind of trading off. So really, with the coat like hers, it's just don't get so set on exact ranges, as more so just her response to whatever the number is.
Yeah.
So maybe one day the fit is too loose and it's 45, and then when it's fitted really well and we got good connection, it's fit 25. You're just kind of playing it by ear. But once you get used to putting it on and finding that kind of sweet spot, you'll get more consistency. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything else?
One thing that I think it's just something I need to reframe kind of what my walks are like with her, but up until now she's basically had free reign to go to the bathroom anytime we're walking.
Sure.
So I think that's going to be a hard, a slow boundary to enforce with her. I've been trying to have her do potty as soon as we get out before we start getting to business. But there's a couple times that she's wanted to go off and start sniffing before I was ready to let her. So
during the actual walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna do a quick review, see what everything looks like. Then we're gonna add in the cue of heel, which is gonna help clarify things a bit more, both for you and her, because you're gonna have both the verbal on switch as well as the off switch. Then we're gonna go over a few technicalities, when it comes to the heel with turning and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I think that'll help you kind of clarify a bit on that stuff. Okay? Anything else?
it's good for now.
Alrighty, so what we'll do is I'm gonna have you just start off with a little just review, show me what you've been practicing, how you've been practicing it, then we'll swap handlers, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Here. Ready?
Good. Good, just one more lap. And there's been no remoting, correct?
What?
There's been no remoting?
I just did one when she was sniffing the ground and got a little far away from me.
Gotcha. Has she been doing that, that kind of crossing over?
Not too much actually.
Okay.
It might be an environment thing.
Sure.
Now that we're back, I don't know.
Go ahead and come to a stop when you're ready.
Hey.
So then here, when she drifted at the end, that's where you would pivot off. So as we train, if I tell you like left turn, right turn and stuff, the correction is always in effect, right? So like right now I said slow down, come to a stop when you're ready. So then I think people get tied up on the, oh, I'm supposed to do that. But whenever she passes you, always default to the correction turn and tap to line her back up again.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah, I usually I've been pretty good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Fell flat this time.
That's okay. Let's go and swap handlers. Otherwise, I was looking pretty good. She looks nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
And then I saw the crossing over, and I'll show you how we correct that. So in case that pops up, yeah. It could be because Miss Hartley's in the pen here and she wanted to go explore a bit. So I'll have you do the same thing. Just kind of show me what you've been practicing. Yes, go ahead and pivot. There you go. What's the number currently at?
12 right now. You're embarrassing me,
Yeah, you can see how she just keeps staring over to the right there.
Definitely looking at the dog.
Where are you at currently?
We've got up to 17 now.
Okay. Good. Go ahead and pivot. Yep. Now here I'm gonna have you go and just come to a stop there. See what she does. Go ahead and give a tap. 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 So here, pause where you're at. You see how she's still staring?
Yeah.
Go to 20. There you go. So right there, you see how she gave that big movement, right? So if you're trying to hold, go ahead and hold. If you're trying to make things easier, if you have a distraction like that, and because it's hard to recognize when you have the correct number when you're moving, because the moving will redirect her a lot of times. So what I'll do is I'll have the client stop, and see how she's staring here, right? Go ahead and give a tap. Right there. See how she moved and she got closer, right? And that one tap garnered that really big response. Mm-hmm. But when you're at 17, you tapped like 3 times and nothing changed, right? So this is a real easy way to tell the difference of if the number you're currently set at is appropriate. Okay. Is within that first hit, you should see a pretty considerable response. So if it's not the right number, you're going to be at least close to it, okay? So now go ahead and try walking with her. Turn. Good. Go ahead and pick up the pace a little. Tap. 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 Pull. Tap. Up. Watch her leg. There you go. A little bit of pressure. Tap. 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 Pull. 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 Tap. Pull. There we go. Good. Now forward. Good. Right there. Good. Now go ahead and pivot to your right. Yep, it's okay. Keep moving. Keep moving. Tap, 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 tap. Keep going. Good. And then relax. Good. Forward. Good. Going slow turn. And try that again. And forward. Tap. There she goes. Good. Good. And what I'm having you do here is you're going to go ahead and turn. You're going to come along the wall and you're going to walk close to the pen area there to see if she tries to pull over towards it. Yep, keep straight. Good. Go ahead and turn and forward. Tap. Tap. There. I'm going slow to a stop. Good. So can you see the difference from where you started at to the 20?
Yeah.
Because initially when you started walking with her, like you were stuck right here. And as soon as you bumped it, then you're able to go back and forth. When it comes to giving directional pressure, you want to give, like you don't want to drag her, but enough to clearly communicate of like you need to pull away. Okay. The remote ultimately is what makes her make the decision, but the pressure on the leash has to be considerable enough for her to think like I need to move with it. Okay. Questions on any of that?
No, that was a tough one, but she did okay.
Should I have reacted at all?
No, you were fine. Because you just ignored her, right? And then she ended up figuring out that like one, she can't get the Harley, two, you're not going to coddle her or anything, and that she had to ultimately disengage. Okay? She has to make these decisions. If like he could have very easily like pulled her away, or you could very easily just pushed her away, and we want her to make the decision of like, okay, this isn't working, I need to do something else. Okay? Because that's ultimately what's going to deter her from repeating that decision again. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in the verbal heel cue, and we're going to go over, actually I'm ahead of myself here, that's the next thing. So the heel cue is simple. What you're going to do is you're going to cue the word heel first, and then you're going to start moving with your left leg. Okay, so super simple. You're standing next to Josie, heel, left leg, now you're moving. Okay. The reason why we do the left leg is because dogs have a wider preference than we do, so she can see that coming out, or that leg coming out. That becomes her visual cue of now we're moving. In more advanced training, left leg means walk with me, right leg means don't move. Okay? It sounds super fancy, but it's really just being consistent of the leg you move with whenever you start either the heel or the stay command. Everything's going to stay the same. You're going to cue heel, forward left leg, you're going to walk a little bit, slow down to a stop. She should, then we go over sitting left class.
No.
Nope, okay. So she should automatically sit like she's doing here. If she doesn't sit on her own, what you're going to do is lightly pull up on your leash, give a tap, and all the stuff that you did with the gentle leader, it's very similar, right? Pulling up, and you would release tension when she would put her butt down. So she should be able to just do that with just the leash pressure. Otherwise, if she has any difficulty, I'll help you, I'll coach you through it. But if you come to a stop, Josie should stop next to you, and then you're going to lightly pull up and tap. She puts her butt down, we relax, wait a moment, heel, then you move forward to left leg again, and we'll repeat that a few times. Okay?
Okay.
Questions?
No.
Alrighty, whenever you're ready, heel and then left leg.
Okay, Josie, heel.
Tap forward. There she goes. And then get ready for a slow pivot. Good turn. And then slow down to a stop. Good, that's okay. And then up on the, there she goes. Good, and praise. Good girl.
That's good.
And what you can do is you can just step a little bit, there you go, to the right, and you're gonna just cue heel, and then you'll come across her.
Okay. All right, heel.
Go ahead and turn, tap. Okay, now slow down, slower, and up. Go and slow to a stop. Now up on your leash, tap, tap. Okay, we're gonna let that go for now. Go ahead and turn so that she's on your left side. Now, if she starts to cross over you, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give in.
Okay.
Because you started over here, and she started to turn in, and you essentially
I let her
gave her that space.
Yeah.
Yes, you just keep it straight, okay? Your legs will bump her out of the way. Otherwise, she's going to keep doing that behavior, and it's going to be a pain, okay? Heel. Good, slow turn. Good, slow to a stop. Good. Yep. Good, praise.
Good girl. Good job. That's good.
Good, heel.
Heel.
Good, slow turn. Good turn, and then slow down to a stop. Good, tap. Good, and praise.
Yes. Good
And a girl. We're gonna do one more. Heel.
Okay, heel.
Good. Slow to slow turn. Good turn. And slow to stop. Good. Yep. Good. Praise.
Good girl. Good job.
Good. What we're going to do is we're going to keep her in that position so she shouldn't get up. If she does, you'll pull up and tap, and we're going to swap handlers. Okay? Good. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to, yep, up, and there we go. Good. You're going to cue the word heel, and then move forward that left leg first.
Ready, Josie? Heel.
And slow to stop when you're ready. Good. Tap. There we go. Good. Praise. Add a girl. Good. We're going to do that 4 more times. Heel.
Should I tap when I should tap when I have her sit
Yeah, so when you come to a stop, up and tap
at the same time?
at the same time. Unless you see her already going into the position, then you can let it go and just praise when she does.
Got it. Josie, heel.
Good. Good. And slow to a stop when you're ready. Right. Good. And praise. Good girl.
Good job.
Good. 3 more.
Ready? Josie, heel.
Good. Slow to stop when you're ready. Good. Right. Praise.
Good job. Good job.
Good. 2 more.
Ready? Josie, heel.
Good. Turn. Slow to stop when you're ready. There we go. So that was on her own.
Good job.
And 1 more.
Ready? Josie, heel. Nice.
Good. Stop when you're ready. Tap. Good. And praise. Very good. So now you have your on switch. So technically, if you go out and you don't say anything, Josie can pull and sniff and pee and roll around all she wants. As soon as you cue the word heel, this goes into effect. Okay? And then break turns everything off, and then she's free to do as she pleases. Okay? Questions on this so far? Nope. Alrighty. So we're going to move to the next thing, which is the turns. So we have 2 types of turns, or 2 major turns. We have the crossover, and then we have the pivot. Okay? The crossover is if Josie's on your left, you're going to be turning to the left and crossing over her. Okay? Now when we do this turn, a lot of people try to lead the turn with their left leg to like bump the dog aside, and then try to force through. It sucks. It doesn't really work very well. I don't know why people try it. And even trainers use that approach. When really, if you turn with your right leg, it's much simpler. Okay? So you cue the word heel, forward with your left leg. Now we're moving, and when we're moving, I'm going to slow down, of course, and I'm going to time it so that I'm going to cross over with my right leg at a 90-degree angle. Very sharp cut. Okay? Then left leg, and you're going to cut it again with your right leg. Now you're going the opposite way. Okay? If you were to be on the sidewalk, this would fall right in line with the sidewalk. Okay? So heel, slow down when you're ready, and right, left, right. Okay? So it's pretty stoic in the beginning just to get the muscle memory down. It's kind of awkward, but you want to make them very pronounced and sharp just to get that habit down. Okay? So if Josie's paying attention and you're doing this correctly, there shouldn't be any need for remoting or anything like that. It's all being communicated through body language. The next turn is the pivot, which is going to be essentially the turn you were doing this past week. So if Josie got ahead of you, you would simply turn like this, start tapping, and then go the opposite way. Same turn, except this is when she's paying attention. So you wouldn't do this abruptly, because that would be unfair. You would use leg movements to communicate what you're doing, okay? So same thing, you cue the word heel, you're walking, you slow down, and you're gonna do left, right, left. Now you're going back the opposite way, okay? So left, then back on right, and then forward to left, yeah. Exactly, just like that, okay? So crossover is right, left, right, and then pivot is opposite. It's left, right, left, okay? I'll coach you through these two turns. The hardest one tends to be the crossover. If you're slowing down and Josie keeps going, so this is her head here, you wouldn't try to force the left turn. It's not gonna work out because she's already ahead of you. So if you try to turn into her, it's just gonna push her out, okay? If you slow down and she keeps going, you would just simply turn, tap, tap, to line her up again, and then try to attempt the turn after that, okay? So anytime she gets out of position or is not paying attention, you go into that correctional pivot and tap to line her up before you attempt to do anything else. Because a lot of times people will pull the dog back or try to run around the dog to do the left turn, and it feels very awkward. So if it ever feels awkward, we're most likely doing something incorrectly, okay? Questions?
How far ahead of me is too far ahead?
Anything more than right shoulder past your left leg, so even if it's an inch, okay? If her shoulder should be here, so if it's here, or like I guess right there, that's passing. Okay. And trust me, dogs will play with that little inch there. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So if you can recognize just right shoulder to left leg, and her nose should fall no farther than where your foot lands, that's the heel position. Okay. Anything beyond that, you want to turn incorrect. And being sure to do so abruptly. If you find you turn abruptly and she's able to turn with you, because some dogs are like very quick and they'll turn and kind of beat the punch, then what I'll do is I'll flip it and I'll tap first and then turn, as opposed to turn then tap. Because then the only way to beat the punch is to not to get ahead. Excuse me, other questions?
I think that's it.
Alrighty, so we're gonna start first with those crossovers. You'll cue the heel and then begin walking with that left leg. And when you're ready to do that crossover, be sure to slow down.
Josie, heel.
Harley, what are you doing?
Crossover, you said?
Correct. Right, left, right. There you go, power through, good job. 4 more.
Just anywhere?
Yeah, yes. Okay, good. Good, then slow down to a stop. So those are good crossovers, but we're forgetting one thing.
Is she too far ahead of me?
Slow down.
Slowing down. Okay, so we'll try those again.
Sorry,
When you
Dad.
slow down, at least 3 steps, more is fine.
Got it.
Okay, but at least 3. Try again.
Josie, heel.
Yeah, there you go. Good, and just power through. Good. 4 more. Good. There you go. Couple more. Yeah, so that one you kind of just stepped into, right?
Sorry.
Let's try it again.
Forgot to slow down. It was too fast.
There you go. That was a good one. Yeah, that was a real good one. 1 more. There you go. Then you'll slow down to a stop. Good. Good. Now we're going to try the pivots. So that's going to be the left, left, going to your immediate right.
So I'm turning to my right, but it's my left, right, left.
Yeah, you're doing, so you're doing a 180, right? And then so it's forward, left, back on right, forward, left. Okay?
Got it.
Quiet you. Go ahead.
Huskies, man. Ready? Heel. Good job.
So, other way. So you did right, left, right, left. So you did the movements correctly, you just did opposite leg. Left, right, then forward, left. So you would, yeah, and then you would go forward, left, like that. There you go.
Oh, forward, left, okay.
Yeah.
For heel, I get it. I get it, Josie.
Right. There you go.
This one's way harder.
Really?
I don't know. I can't get it in my head.
Right, there you go. There it is. Good, let's try 5 more just like that.
Why is that so hard?
Because you have to think about it. Everybody, like that, a lot of people actually do that turn naturally until I tell them to do it intentionally, and then it screws them up. Right, left. There you go. 4 more.
I'm tapping and she's like, I tapped on that one because she felt a little bit
Was she
behind.
going too far? That's fine.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Good job.
That's okay. Yep, there you go. That's fine. Good.
Was that her thinking that was a slow to a stop and she did that automatically?
Yeah, where she sat down. There you go. It's okay. And forward. You got it. Yeah, that happens on some of the turns. Eventually, once you do it so many times, they learn like, oh, okay, like I don't need to put my butt down. Just keep moving.
How many more are you doing?
2 more. There you go. And then last one. Good. And slow to stop when you're ready. Perfect. Very good. Okay. So, heel is like dancing. Dancing there's 2 people, and an experienced dancer can make an inexperienced dancer look good, right? Because they know how to lead very well. So in heel, it's the same thing. You're leading, right? So a lot of people are surprised that the dogs just pick up on this so quickly. I'm like, yeah, because they communicate through body language. You know, so once you're communicating in their language, those crossover turns and stuff, she got them right away. The only reason why she was having some trouble is because there wasn't any slowdown. There was a couple where she was getting a little bit ahead, and you could tell because your hand started to do this, your left hand, because you're trying to compensate.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're walking with Josie and you slow down to do a left turn and you find this is happening, she's getting ahead, you actually want to turn, tap, and line her up. So you're actually recognizing that something's off.
Yeah.
But your people's habit is typically to restrain
Yeah.
or to try to speed up to compensate. Okay?
Got it.
So if it ever feels awkward or if you ever find that arm going back, that's most likely what's happening, is I would just let it go and turn, tap, and go back the opposite way.
Okay.
Okay? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have you go between those turns, the crossovers and the pivots, randomly.
Okay.
So you'll be walking at your normal pace, being sure to slow down before each one of those turns. You can add in some stops, also be sure to slow down for those stops. And if everything is correct, Josie's paying attention, and your communication is on point, then there really should be no need for remote unless she's not paying attention. Then you're more so remoting because she's not focusing. Okay?
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, go ahead and cue the word heel.
Ready? Okay. Just heel.
So that was awkward, right?
She's a little ahead on that one.
And you actually did a 45-degree turn as opposed to a 90-degree turn with the right. Good pivot. That was good.
A little fast.
Right, left, right. Just power through. There you go. That was more so on her. Left, then right, then left. Just forward left. You got it right there. Good. Right, left, right. Good turn. Good pivot. Good, just a few more. Yep, left, right, good. Couple more. Good pivot. Good, and I'll have you do one last one, then we'll swap. Good, and come to a stop. Very good. Atta girl. Let's go and swap handlers. Yep, tap, there you go, good. Good. Tap, tap. There we go, good. So you're gonna start first with those crossovers. That's gonna be the right, left, right. Okay? Good, heel. Uh-oh, so, so you see how that lined up incorrectly, right? So right there, if she started getting ahead of you, you would default to the pivot to correct her and tap.
Okay.
Right, left, just power through, right. There you go, good. Relax that left arm.
Do we tap when she's tapping at our wrist like that?
So the way we'd actually correct that is by doing the left turns. Because she's getting into your personal space, and if you tap her, the tap means to get closer.
Got it.
So it wouldn't help her stop that there. But if you turned into her, it will, and I'll go over that with you once he's done. Because that's more of a correctional turn to claim space. So here, pivot. Yeah, so it's okay. So so you made it happen, right? But right there, she was misaligned, is where I'd go into a correctional pivot turn.
Okay.
Right, left, right. Let's try a couple more of those left turns. So you stutter stepped because you're thinking. It's all right. There you go. Right, left, right. Good. Let's try one more. Right, left, right. Good. And then slow. Come to a stop when you're ready. Good. Very good. So now you're going to do the pivots. That's the left, right, left.
Okay. Josie, heel.
Good. Good. 3 more. Good. 1 more. Good. And come to a stop. Good.
Yes, good girl. Good
So pivot's easier.
Yeah, definitely.
So now I'm going to have you go between those turns randomly.
Okay.
And just remember, if it starts to feel awkward for that left turn, just assume pivot, turn, and tap. Okay?
Okay. Josie, heel.
Good. 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 Just a few more.
What's that, Josie?
Good. In one last turn. Good pivot and stop when you're ready.
Yes, good job.
Excellent. So that's heel.
Great.
Okay. So everything that you
Great.
did last week, essentially that was to get her to focus, to be mindful and realize like, oh, there's somebody at the end of this leash that I should be focusing on. And then this week, now it's teaching you how to use your body language to communicate with her. Okay. The most common thing that I see is people always forget to slow down. Okay, so it's just like driving. When we come to a stop, we slow down, and when we come to a turn, we slow down. Okay, because no one else knows what you're doing. We have blinkers and changes in speed to like pump our red lights and stuff to let everybody know like, hey, I'm coming to a stop or I'm switching lanes. Otherwise, there'd be crashes all over the place, right? So we're doing the same thing here with Josie, except your legs are kind of like your blinkers. Okay, and slowing down is like you pumping the brake lights. If you're walking with Josie for 10-15 minutes and you start to slow down because you're getting ready for a turn or a stop and she keeps going, she's not being mindful, you default turn, tap, correct her, turn again if needed, come and then do that turn or stop that you were going to do. Okay? People tend to excuse passes during stops because let's say you hit a red light and you slow down and stop and she keeps going. Most people just pull the dog back.
Right.
Right? Because they're like, oh, I was going to stop anyways. Like, but training-wise, it undoes the heel. Okay? Because she should be stopping with you and sitting with you. She's essentially like your shadow. Okay? So if she's being mindful and your communication is correct, there really shouldn't be any need for remoting. Okay? Especially for the turn. So like if I'm going to turn left and for some reason something's off, I don't try to tap her to correct that. I just go into the pivot. Okay. Earlier you said you were doing the pivot, she kept going, so then you tapped her. That was correct because you did your body language is correct. You extended your left leg. Josie forgot what was going on, so you tapped her as you're doing that because to get her back to focusing on like this is what we're doing now. Okay. So all that stuff is always in effect. The more strict you are with those standards, the better she's going to be. And then up, tap here. Up, unleash, and tip. Like that, very good. The more consistent she's going to be, which makes, because you guys wanted to do the therapy dog test or something, right?
Yep.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
So here, she lays down, we corrected her into a sitting position. Now, on the scope of what dog can do, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, right? However, she's breaking the command. So, you know, you're standing for 5 minutes, she decides, I'm getting tired, I'm going to lay down. We would excuse it because logically we know she's just tired, right? She's going to get comfortable. But for her, she just thinks, I was in command and I decided to do something else and it went uncorrected. So then being able to lay down becomes being able to sniff anything. being able to pee on anything, being able to greet any dog or say hi to any person. Okay, so dogs don't rationalize like we do. She doesn't think that that was an exception because you know that she's tired and that, you know, it's okay right now. It starts to seep into other areas. Okay, so if she's in an active heel, when you come to a stop, her job is to maintain that sitting position. And if she were to stand up or lay down, you would correct it just like you did. We don't say anything. Okay, we don't say sit, we don't say anything like that, we don't say no. Because I want her to learn, if she wants to avoid the correction, she just simply keeps that position. Okay? And currently, what command is Josie in?
Right now,
Sit.
she's still in heel.
She's in the heel.
Okay.
That's a trick question. Because she's in the last thing that was spoken to her is the command that she's in. So this isn't a sit.
Okay.
This is an automatic sit that's built into the heel.
Got it.
Okay? If she was free walking and then I said sit and she put her butt down, that is a formal sit. That is a sit you don't move. Okay? Here, if Eric were to move, what do you think her inclination is going to be?
Go with it.
Exactly, because that's what heel is, right? So little things like that make a big difference because a lot of people do get confused and they'll think, oh, the dog's going to sit. I'm like, no, the dog's going to heel. Because that's the last thing that you said. Okay? And as we start to teach more commands, your new command always overrides your old command. So like sometimes people think heel, and like let's say they're going to put them in a down, they'll go heel, break, then down. Okay? Because they think that you have to release the dog from the command before you can give a new command. No, that's not the case. You simply just go into the down. So then the down overrides the heel. So then if you walked away, she shouldn't move because she's in a down command, no longer in a heel command. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So as we start to stack these things, it can get a little confusing. But once you just understand the concept, it's pretty simple. Because definitely for the dog, if people start to get those things confused, it then confuses the dog, and then we get some inconsistencies. Okay? Questions on any of that?
Can you go over again the distraction? So Eric was handling her when she was like staring at the dog, and that followed the piece that I ran into a lot, where like we would pass another dog on the street, and I would turn and correct it, and turn and correct it, and she would get excited again and turn and correct it. So I was like doing a few circles, and finally like, I don't know, in one case I had like a doodle that was a little wacky. That was wouldn't move until we passed, so I was kind of like, okay, like let's just go.
Sure.
So I couldn't do the like 15-minute, like you're gonna heal until we, like obedience is the only option.
Correct.
How do we do this?
So, the main thing is almost always going to be the number. Okay? Is we have to find a number that's going to override. So I'm going to bring up Harley here with distraction.
So lazy.
Should I go play chasing tag?
Who doesn't?
Jessie chased me. I really wanted it.
Okay. So, may I have you go ahead and you're going to do a heel, you're going to pivot back, you're going to stop like in the center right there, okay?
Josie, heel.
Tap, 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 tap. There you go, good. Step forward. Good. And then just come to a stop. Right there, that's good. Excellent. What's the number? Yeah.
24.
24. Okay. So easiest way to do this, first just to like give you a clear visual, is stationary. Okay? Because here, Josie's job is just to sit still. Okay, so it's very obvious that if she starts to stand up, she's breaking position. So when you start correcting her, she should default back into the heel position. Okay? And we don't say anything here. you're making this an automatic response so that whenever she gets attached, she just thinks, boom, I go to this, okay? I'm gonna have you go to short release a little bit more. A little bit more. That's good right there, okay? So what we're doing here is limiting range of motion. So if I give Josie like this much slack, it allows her to get that far away from me. Okay, it makes it more difficult to get her to move back. Because once she gets to the dog, you're gonna need a pretty, or considerably higher number to get her to be trapped, because she's already there, right? That she's getting the reward that she was wanting, which is I'm in the dog space, I'm interacting. So by limiting her, and in only allowing her to go so far, she's unable to get to the distraction, which makes it easier to correct, okay? So I'm just gonna walk with Charlie here. See how Josie, over right there, wait a moment. And what I'm gonna have you do here is you're gonna pull to your left and you're gonna tap. Good, and then you're gonna pull to the back and left, tap. A little more pull, tap, 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 pull, pull, pull. Pull, pull, pull. I'm going to shorten a little bit more in the leash. There you go. Pull back, tap. Good, now you're gonna pull to the side. Right there. Good. All right, try that again. So you see how clear that was. She went to go sniff, tap, boom. Okay? It should be that simple. If you ever feel like it's an argument, or it's like, man, I'm really having to tap a lot, probably too low. Okay? So on the first one, she broke out, you tapped. After you did the kind of rapid fire taps, she backed up, but then she overcompensated. She went to the other side.
Right.
So then we used leash tension, tap, she came in front, and then back and to the left, and she got a little frustrated because your arm wasn't going back far enough to give her clear direction. So that's why I had to choke up, because then since you choked up closer, you're able to give more physical pressure, okay?
Yep.
Then she repositioned, then we tried it again, and it was much easier, because now she has a foundation of cat means I don't interact, okay? Now this is not gonna make her not like dogs. Okay, we're just putting rules to this. And so if she's in a heel command, I don't mind if she sniffs, as long as she doesn't like overextend. So if she would have just went like this, that would have been fine, but she went like this. And then this becomes that, okay? So we'll do one more. Like for me, this is all fine. Okay, because she's still primarily in that position. Good. Let me go ahead and have you start just going back and forth right here. Just the heel. Good pivot. Yep. Good. Crossover. Try a couple more. Tap forward. Good. One more. Right. Okay. So here, you pivot, crossover, and then you'll slow up. There you go. There you got it. Good. So here, obviously, like if you're on the street, like the person's not gonna like stop for you and do this stuff, but we just put in the foundation. Now Josie has a reference point. So if you see someone's dog on the street, it's easiest to control your dog stationary in the beginning. Okay. So if you see someone on the sidewalk walking, I think it's best if you just take Josie, step to where the curb is, and face inwards, and then I choke up on my leash. Okay, so in case she decides to try to lunge or say hi, I'm limiting her range of motion. So I'm not doing this, where I'm keeping her restricted. It's nice and slack, but she doesn't know that she's limited. And then I have my, remote already set to 25 or whatever. And as long as she's just holding still, we're perfectly fine. But if we start to see her stand up or start to pull forward or like move that head forward, you tap to correct her there. The dog passes, then you continue with the heel. And let's say you do this for a couple of weeks. What you're teaching Josie is you can see dogs and they can walk past and you don't get to interact with them. Okay? Then we proceed to being able to walk past dogs. Okay, but it's easiest to do this first to set the foundation down. So then she goes, okay, I can see dogs and not have to have anything to do with them. So when you go to walking, much easier to correct. So then if I'm walking with Josie and I see Josie start to go like this, tap, go back into position. Okay, one try.
Sure. Would it be like unfair? So like I tried to do it, I tried to bring her to Eckert Park as like different areas they have like at night, like people come and just like let their dogs like run around. It's not like a true dog park.
Correct.
And I tried to just like walk her around there. She gets excited when she gets to the park because she like loves it there. And I tried to like do a few of these, but she was just like way too excited.
Sure.
Is that like, a silly question. It's not unfair for me to like go there and let dogs come up to her and like get all excited, like partly it's well the dogs and everything. Would like an intense distraction like that be too much to test or?
No, so, but what would make that doable is on the walk there, she has to be here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And, you know, and this is, if you really want to test that, you walk with Josie and give her like 3 to 4 feet of slack like this and try to walk to Eckert Park. Okay? Because the more slack you give, the more opportunity you're giving her to pass you up. Okay?
Got it.
So then if I'm walking with Josie, let's say I'm at 25, clearly this is not in position, turn, tap, right? And then we have that 3 correction rule. After 3 turning taps, if she's still forging, we bump, right? Go to 28 or you can go to 30. Me personally would go to bigger jumps because I want to solve the problem faster. And you might find you hit like 65, okay? And you might get yips. And then people think, oh, the dog's yipping, I'm too high. But what you're going to find is I could be at 65 and the dog yips, and then when I turn, they're back to this again.
Yeah.
So what does that tell me?
You didn't get it up.
Or what else? You're close.
They're like not paying attention.
They're still not paying attention. Yeah, but I was at 65. But they're yelping at 65. So people start to think, oh crap, my dog's yelping, I can't go any higher. And I go, no, like what dictates if you go higher or not is if I do a correction on 65 and when I'm done with the correction, the dog's ahead of me, even though the dog yelped, it didn't affect the dog. The dog's still ahead. So to give you an example, I had a client this weekend, they just wrapped up. The dog was doing great with the obedience, but kept jumping to go greet people and other dogs. And his number is 80, by the way. And he's a 7 to 8 month old Bernedoodle. Okay, he was at 80 because we had jacked it up from 35 because 35 wasn't getting anywhere, so they were on 80 and he was doing much better. But they at the last class were like, he still has this problem. So we ended up going to 110, 120, and finally, and we had a bunch of dogs down here. He was able to walk past the dogs with no issues. Okay, but he started yipping. And then that was holding him back because they were like, well, he's yipping if you go higher than 80. And I go, I get that. I'm like, but he's still willing to forge. So just because he's yipping doesn't mean it's the appropriate number because he's still repeating the behavior. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then we just kept bumping it. And then finally, once we hit that 110, 120, he actually stopped yipping. The yipping was more so frustration because we were getting to a number that was motivating enough to get him to disengage, but he didn't want to disengage. That's what he was frustrated about. Because after the first few hits, and he understood like, oh, okay, like I can't do this anymore. Anytime we would correct him after that, he was perfectly fine because there was no more frustration. Like he gave it up already. Okay. So for Josie, I'm going to think and assume that walk to Eckert Park is going to be difficult. Right? So you're gonna just keep going up, and then you might get to that point. But remember, if you do your correction and you turn again to Eckert Park, and boom, there she is again. It's telling me we're still too low.
Yeah.
Once you override the frustration and the resistance, all that stuff should just go away. So then when you get to Ecker Park, because you've done all the work getting there, walking around the dog should either be one, be not a problem, or two, much easier. Because you addressed all the buildup. Because she's going to park, going to park, going to park, and then I'm in the park, I'm in the park, I'm in the park, and then dogs, right?
Yeah.
It's just stacking.
Yeah.
So if you try to go, from point A to point C and skipping all those steps, it's going to be a definite problem. And not so much unfair, just very difficult. But if you started from the get-go and she's here in a nice, perfect heel with a nice, completely slack leash, as you walk to the park, as you enter the park, then by the time the dogs come into play, it should be much easier. Okay? And it's a good challenge.
Yeah.
So for you guys, with the goal of therapy dog, these are things that I start targeting because you have a nice controlled context, very clear. She's very driven to it. I want to go to the park. So if you work with that context and you figure out your numbers, it's going to be very clear to you, like, oh wow, now she understands the concept of heel because I can actually go to the park and back, no problem, no turns, no corrections. She's right up her side.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Questions?
That's it.
All right, so let's see how she does here with Harley with a different handler. So that's easy. So this is okay. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So you see how she gets in closer, right? So every time you do that, she's learning you can't step too far away from mom, otherwise the consequence comes in. Okay? That's okay. Go ahead and try walking. And you see how her energy changes when she walks?
Yeah.
Right? She perks up, her tail starts wagging, she's a little bit stimulated. So that's why I don't do walking in the beginning, because there's already some kind of momentum going on there. Dogs are more likely to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
So easiest to set the foundation down while you're stationary.
So for the next few days walking, is there any time we're encountering on the sidewalk with another person walking their dog, we should just stop, wait for them to pass, and do exactly that?
Yep.
Okay.
And I would, let's say you do this for a week, and she's perfect. No incentive or anything like that, or no inclination to want to go breed. And let's say you see someone with a crazy dog, that's crazy friendly, tell them, walk by please. Because that's the kind of energy that's gonna feed into her.
Yeah.
She's gonna wanna be like, oh, I wanna interact with that. And if she stays like that, completely chill as that dog passes, and I go, good, that's a good test. Then I start to worry about actively walking past dogs. A little bit of curiosity is fine. I just don't want it to be, if she's walking, a little sniff, no problem. What I don't want is the sniff and then the deviation angled out towards the other dog. Okay?
Yeah, I see some people, their dogs are so, I don't know, crazy or whatever, that they feel like they have to cross the street anytime there's another dog, and I don't want her to be like that at all.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think she'll ever get there, honestly.
No, she's doing good. This is all simple stuff. And she's responding to 25 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Momo was at 110, 120. He's up there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, any other questions?
I don't think so.
So good. She's doing well, but what I would expect for class 2